Good day, guys. Welcome to the first actual episode, or maybe I guess the second, because we did the intro last time. And today, it's really going to be an interesting topic that we'll be talking about. And we're going to be talking about how do you grow with a day job. Personally, I realize it's a very hard thing, especially as a software engineer, to have a lot of deadlines that you have to meet, features that you need to implement, and still grow daily as an engineer. And it can be hard sometimes. Sometimes you're tired, you just finished delivering a big feature, and your mind is not even ready to think about a course or a book or anything. You just want to shut down and shut off. But the thing is, we still need to grow, both mentally, technically, and also non-technically, because our role is more than just the technical part. There's also that soft skills part that's really, really important. And today we just want to focus on what are the things that we can do on our own that really help us to make the small advancement each day that on a year-long or a long-term view all can impact our growth in a very big and positive way. And that could mean an increase in salary, that could mean being able to change subsectors or even a different sectors. But today we'll focus on how do we as software engineers grow technically and even non-technically, and what are the things we can do. So let's get started. So what are the different things we can do? There are a few things that I recommend, and these are really heavily focused from a bit technical to less technical, that kind of push more on the soft skills area, and not necessarily in the interrelational area of working with your colleagues, but more in the how you deliver area. But I think we can slow down, and I will use like an impact system to which goes from 1 to 10 to define how impactful doing these kind of things will have on your career. So one of the things we can do is actually doing code challenges. Code challenges are really, really useful because they provide us a great avenue to play around with different code and algorithm problems to come up with technical solutions and even strategies on how to deal with that. Maybe help us solidify our thinking processes and our problem solving processes and how we resolve a particular technical problem. But the issue is when you start to get to the middle level and senior level roles, this kind of code challenges don't generally have a lot of impact. This is why I actually give them like an impact of 1. It isn't that they are not useful, it's that they are really great because most companies use them to filter out candidates during the interview process. But also in general, there also can be a lot of heavily focused on the maths, and not necessarily the type of maths that you may end up seeing on a day-to-day. And they are great for example, doing like mental gymnastics or competition with your colleagues, or a great way for you to just stay up to date with new algorithms or how to solve new algorithms that may be coming out, or even ones that are old and you haven't used before or haven't really solidified mentally on how to use them. But in general, I wouldn't say they're the best way to grow. They're a great way to stay up to date. They're a great way to work your mind and your mental muscles. But overall, on the long term, I wouldn't heavily invest in code challenges. So if you're looking for places you can actually do code challenges, there are HackerRank, there's Code Wars, there's LeetCode, there's Check.io. Check.io is actually quite interesting because Check.io kind of presents code challenges in a game where you build out a game. And as you build out a game, there are different challenges you would have to solve. And it's a very fun and interesting way of going about this. So what about the next one? Maybe we've already talked about doing code challenges. What else can you do? I think the next one is going to conferences and workshops. Conferences are great watering grounds and creating network effects where you can meet, connect, and form relationships with other engineers and even tech leadership. They provide engineers and even non-engineers, maybe managerial roles area, a great opportunity to to share knowledge and learnings, because you get to learn from others about the different technical issues they face and how they as a company solve those, either in the technical solutions to deploy or even in the organizational approaches they use. The lead engineers stay up to date with new technology and techniques and tooling development best practices and even trends which might be of interest and even use immediately in your different organization. They are even great grounds to find work, especially for the speakers, because it's a great way to show yourself that you have solved certain problems before, and companies see that as an evidence or social proof that, oh, if you understand this topic, then you're most likely to be the best candidate to help them resolve maybe a similar problem they may be facing. And some conferences, I think like the AWS conference, also provide workshops where they show you how to use new toolings, new services that they are deploying that could be of use, maybe even big, for example, big data tooling. AWS has a lot of them that could be of use to you in how you build products for your companies, and they can be a massive great grounds to also just connect and find new friends or new companies that maybe in the future may hire you. Overall, they are very beneficial, and they are the fastest way to learn quickly because of the workshops, and because they provide like very condensed, highly deeply knowledgeable topics and learnings that others have gained either due to the different types of projects they worked on that you may not necessarily been able to work on, but can gain from the insight that they've gone through and how they solved those kind of technical problems and how they delivered value overall. I would encourage you to check YouTube out because some of these conferences actually post videos online. JSConf is one, RubyConf is another, which ranges across different continents. And they have podcasts and even blogs that you can follow. It can help you, especially if you can attend these conferences in person, would massively help you to follow along and find deep insights that can be very useful in your day job and even your personal growth. The next one would be reading technical books and maybe watching technical videos or even listening to a technical podcast. And we're going to be talking about next. The next item on the list that we can actually do as software engineers is actually reading technical books or watching technical videos or even listening to a technical podcast. And I give this an impact of 3 from our range of 1 to 10. And the reason why I say this is because books are like timeless sources of wisdom, and the benefit of it being even a physical book is that unless you burn the book or you lose it, you can always go back to it to dig out deeper wealth of knowledge, maybe understand things a bit better than you did initially during your first read. And I don't necessarily think that for books you need to read a book cover to cover. I sometimes find it very hard to read a book that's very big, and sometimes what I would do is maybe start at the middle or on a chapter that interests me or that might be related to the problem I'm trying to solve. And the more I read it, the more I may need to trace my steps back through the book to gain more information that I may have missed. And this way it makes reading very interesting, it makes it fun, it makes the journey worthwhile, because I'm not just reading for reading's sake and trying to amass this large wealth of knowledge where it may not necessarily have immediate use, but instead I'm coming from the point of I have a problem, this book presents a possible solution or possible approach to this problem that I could actually then use immediately. And this presents a great way of going with books. Technical videos are similar in that you can go to YouTube and search for a specific topic on a given problem you're trying to deal with or a given topic that you have interest in, and then you can easily learn the different techniques they've done, because a lot of these are either from conferences like we discussed, or maybe companies just releasing great content to help other developers to understand how they went about resolving a given problem or a technical issue they had. And these are great ways to learn, and generally you don't need so much deep involvement beyond just spending the time to listen and to learn and to put down and to even save that video out for later, because you can then go back and revisit and rewatch and learn again with different things that we're talking about, maybe with a deeper insight because you've dealt with a problem. Podcasts are similar. I follow quite a few podcasts actually, and one of the ones I actually enjoy a lot is the Changelog podcast. They have like a series of different podcasts under Changelog, ranging from different technical topics. And one of the ones I like actually is to follow their master feed, and I think if I remember correctly that the different ones I really enjoy are the Kaizens they release on the Ship It show, which is actually quite fun because they go deep into how they're building out Changelog itself as a technical product and the different choices and decisions they make it, which gives me deeper insight into these are the kind of problems they face. So these are the kind of approaches they are applying, and to see where I myself can apply that, which is quite interesting. Overall, I think technical books and technical videos and even technical podcasts are a great, massive way to passively learn because, at least for me, I actually listen to podcasts while working. So for some people, that might be hard to do. Sometimes you may need to really sit down and focus on them. But for me, it's a great way to instantly listen to some interesting technical detail while I'm also solving a problem, and I find myself able to focus more that way. It may be different for you, but I deeply recommend that you start it if you're not doing it already, because it's a great way to learn right away about the different technical issues people are facing and how they're solving it, and different ideas that could be of use for you while you're working actually. So let's go to the next one. The next one we're going to be talking about is working on side projects. Side projects, I would give them like an impact of 4 because they are kind of things you would take all the knowledge you've gained from either the conferences and the workshops you go to, the podcasts, the videos, the books you've read, and then you really learn to practicalize them and really face them as a technical problem that requires a technical solution. And this is a great way of actually even building our portfolios. You could put these projects on your own personal website, maybe a GitHub page, or share in your CVs or your resumes when you're applying for jobs. And they show employers that you're not only someone who is claiming to be able to do a certain job, but that you have an actual real product or project that would show them the kind of things you can do. And one of the benefits of this that I have found is that when you're applying for jobs, employees will be able to go to your GitHub page and see, you're actually active and you're really deeply invested in your craft. And this gives them more confidence that you're the type of candidate they would actually like to have in the company. Apart from that, they are also a great way of just enjoying your craft and enjoying yourself and just learning more and taking all the knowledge and all the insights you gain from videos, conferences, podcasts, and just really solidifying them within yourself. And I highly encourage every engineer to be doing that because it's an important part of our job, not only to just find a solution when you're actually seeing the problem, but being able to come up with quick insights because you've already seen a similar problem before and you now have the mental framework to be able to apply to either get close to the solution or to solve it. So the next one we're going to be talking about is contributing to open source project, and I like to give this an impact of 5. And the reason why it has a higher impact is more than personal projects, although it's kind of similar, is that this has 2 benefits. One is you get to really practicalize your skills on real life projects that may be supplying value to thousands of users. Secondly, it also helps you to understand what the underlying value of your contribution should be like. What are the standard code guidelines, the underlying PR requirements for you to actually contribute. And this can be a really great way to learn, especially for junior engineers, about what is considered good PR, what is considered a good pull request, for those who don't know what PR is, and what is considered an actually acceptable contribution from these projects. Secondly, for junior developers, especially for those who are starting out, contributing to open source definitely shows your employer that you actually love your craft, similar to side projects, but better. They are also a great way to actually get work. I've known quite a few developers who were interviewing across different companies, but were more successful with companies that they've already contributed to, either because they contributed to the open source projects or because those companies found out that they were actually active contributors to certain projects that they may be using. And this is very important because this shows them that you can actually deliver results because you are already giving results to some other project. And I think engineers should really, even if they can do side projects, to take time to see how they can contribute to the open source world, because honestly, a lot of the libraries, the toolings we use, a lot of them are actually from open source. So it's a great way to give back, but it's also a great way to gain. And kind of funny because I, as a Christian, always remember where the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. And contributing to open source projects is really, really a great way to give. So you should do it. On to the next one. The next one on our list is what I would call the peer programming upgrade. Now, ignore the crazy name, but peer programming with either peers or seniors or mentors is really, really important and sometimes a missing part of growth for engineers. One of the great ways for us to learn is to work with others who are either have been in the role in the company longer than us, because they can show us insights about the products, but also insights about the different techniques they use to reason about the problems they need to face or resolve. And sometimes, especially for juniors and middle level engineers, even senior engineers and peers, it's a great way to augment your own mental models and to learn from each other and to see how better you can actually deliver value to the company. And because you learn from them and you see a better way, or you share a better way of doing things, this massively improves your results on a big scale. So I encourage every engineer, wherever they can, if they can get either a mentor or a senior or a peer, to like spend a day or two, an hour or so, depending on their schedule, to just pair program, solve a problem together, and learn from each other and see how better to improve each other. Because it's an important part of the way we work, and massively being able to learn on the job, that is massively beneficial to your career. So do it if you can. On to the next one. The next one on our list is writing technical or owning a technical blog. Now, I must confess that I have also failed in this, and it's something that I've been aware of for a long time, but I haven't done it. And I think it's because I didn't understand how impactful this particular approach is, both to myself and in my personal development, but also in seeking employment and projects, especially when you go on your own. One of the great ways that we as engineers can show that we understand and know our craft is to share it. And I think I need to repeat that again because a lot of us miss it. The most important and most deeply effective way for you to grow for yourself, but also for you to open up more opportunities for yourself, is to share it and share it freely. So if we can own a technical blog and we can share the different technical problems we faced and how we resolve them, and in this area you must be careful and to ensure that you dot your I's and your T's, especially with your companies. If you're probably about to share trade secrets or company secrets, that you have your PR department actually look through what you're sharing first, so that you don't get in trouble. But if you can, either on your own or on the company's blog, but I would encourage have your own blog. If you can write technically and share the different approaches, the different problems, the different solutions you've come up with, this massively gives you the social proof in the market, so that on the next time you're going to apply for a new job or to deliver a project or to bid for a project for a client, you can have a place that you can say, hey, look at the things I have dealt with as an engineer, and the different problems that I have solved and provided value for. And ironically, sometimes you may not necessarily even be looking for an outside project or a side gig, but because you have this wealth of knowledge you shared online on your blog, a lot of people will actually reach out to you because they have more confidence in you and your ability and ask if you're open for side projects. And it's just a massively underused approach to growing as an engineer and giving yourself leverage on a massive scale. So I encourage you to do this if you're not already doing it. And for me, the video and the podcast are a way for me to actually do that. I haven't yet owned a blog, but I will. But also producing this show is actually a way for me to also put it out there in public that I am able to deliver certain values in certain ways and have the skills and the knowledge to be able to do that. And apart from just having fun in general. So I think it's massively important that we do this. So I encourage you to go out and do it, either in your own show or your own podcast or in a blog whereby you can sit behind and just deliver real value for maybe junior engineers or others who are facing a similar problem and able to find solutions in there. The irony is we use the contents that others are freely given. For example, in Stack Overflow and so or even Medium blogs where people just share insights about the different technical problems they face and how they solve that, and we gain from that. And so we also, for our own personal growth, for our own personal benefit, but also just in general for the benefit of other engineers to just share and share freely. So I highly encourage you to do that. I am so grateful if you've been with me till this point, because we're on the last track. The final suggestion I'm giving out to engineers as a way to grow is kind of connected with the previous one, where we were talking about releasing technical blogs and posts about the different technical issues you face or projects you're working on and how you resolve those different issues. I think the final one, and I think the holy grail of self-improvement, is to write books. Now, you may be laughing at me, you may be saying, what the heck is he talking about? But think about it. Books are like a massive way to really condense down your experience on a given topic into a concise, deeply filled knowledge base that someone else can take value from. And it's a heavily taxing effort, but it's also a heavily rewarding effort. The most wonderful way to be known is to be in the industry is to be known as that guy that wrote that great book, the great book that explains XYZ. And a lot of the people we follow as well, some of them we found them through books they've actually published. And so as engineers, we should strive from moving from consuming to producing short blogs to then producing books that condense all the knowledge and insight we've gained over time with others. And honestly, there's not much to say to this, because once you've done this and you deliver this, you will find that a lot of doors open massively because people are willing to trust you because they've seen the results of what you can deliver in that small book. And so for engineers that may have reached a certain stage, or even for juniors or all levels, I would encourage you, take the insights and the wisdom you gain while working in your different roles and slowly condense them down in some second brain somewhere, maybe on Notion. And as time goes on, you would have an endless supply of inspiration to actually turn into a book that someone who is maybe a few years behind you can find very useful. A lot of the things we deal with on a day-to-day basis in our different roles, while they may be technically different, at the bottom of it all, follow the same fundamental principles that guide our craft. And if you can find a way to share that in a clear, concise way, you will be loved and really, really, really cherished for it. I guess maybe not cherished is the right word, but generally the industry will like you because you're taking out deeply valuable knowledge and sharing it with the world. So I encourage you to go out there and do it. Wow, so that's it. That's all there is to know about how to upgrade and improve while in your day job. And I'm so grateful to each one of you that basically stayed with me to the end. And I hope you learned something useful that would help you as you work through your different stages of your career and better yourself, learn more, and overall improve your career and your mental and technical skills. And before we leave, I guess we should kind of summarize. I think the main focus of about self-improvement, especially when you have a day job, is about sharing what you know, sharing the technical challenges you faced, and taking all that practical wisdom and turning it into insight that other people can find very valuable, especially those who may be behind you on the career ladder. And if there's anything I want you to leave here with, it isn't doing a lot of code challenges or algorithmic questions or problems. It's to realize that the highest point of growth is the highest point where you're given as much as possible to others. And that's really it. When you share your technical learnings, your technical achievements, and different problems you face and how you solve them, you'll massively also grow yourself. Because you learn to condense all that information down into the most useful, practical form there is, that others will instantly get and find useful. So I wish you all the best as you share, as you learn, as you grow. Until the next time. Cheers.